and welcome to another edition of Q&A, Question of the Week. Purpose of this Q&A is quite simple. We want to empower all with resources, with some strategies, some skills, some tricks to help students, teachers, and parents all be successful. Each week, these questions will come from you, the viewer, and we'll try our best to address them the best way possible. If you want to submit a question, really simple, tinyurl.com/eduologyq. What we'll do, we'll address them the best we can. Great thing about this is social media. So there's educators all over the world, professionals all over the world who can also help and give us some advice and some strategies and some tips and some tricks. And they give that in the comment section below. So if you're reading and you're following along and you're watching the video and you have an idea, please post it in the video below. Let's all help each other. It still takes a village. So this week's question comes from Atlanta, Georgia. ATL, stand up. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Every morning before school starts, before the first hour begins, I feel a small panic attack and those morning jitters right before my students come in. This is normal, right? So, if you are having a panic attack and it has been habitual, don't listen to me. Go seek help. If you're having these panic attacks and this is something really serious and you believe it's something serious, don't listen to me. Go to a person who actually deals with and can help you as best as possible in this. Now, if this is something like some small nerves and some butterflies in your stomach, we can address that. So that's what we'll do. We'll address this and approach this with you've got some butterflies in your stomach before your first hour comes. So let's address it from that perspective. Fact one, that is normal. Fact one, that is adaptive. That is what we always feel, and it helps us prepare for something somewhat dangerous. It helps us prepare if that's a small anxiety. Now, I'm not talking about the full-blown panic attacks. We're talking about that small moment of anxiety right before you come. That anxiety comes from our body because our body is telling us, hey, there's perhaps some small danger here, even though there isn't danger. It's just something that is normal. Everybody goes through this part together. No one's ever alone in feeling those butterflies before something happens. It's just a high stress point, and then sometimes it almost gets overwhelming for you. For me, those symptoms, I have them at times. For me, the symptoms, like I'll start breathing really fast. My pulse raises, my heart beats there. My hands get sweaty, my palms get sweaty. One time I felt the need like I was about to throw up, and there were a few times that I did actually throw up. Those butterflies in your stomach happen. I've heard people say this. It hasn't happened to me, but I've heard other people saying that it is the feeling like they have to defecate and they have to relieve themselves in some way. I can absolutely relate to that feeling of those butterflies coming. My first few years teaching, anytime I taught a new subject, anytime I taught a school year, a new grade level, or even when I had like that rough class and in my head I was thinking, I only have one prep. How do I have one prep throughout the day? And it's in the morning for like all of these classes. Yeah, that anxiety would show up. That was it. What can I do? I'm about to speak in front of all these people. Those butterflies still come up. I'm about to teach music to somebody, or I'm about to do a workshop or a seminar. Yeah, that anxiety, those butterflies, that nervousness does come up. So here's some things that has helped me, and I'll just share them out with you. And if you guys have any other suggestions, I would love to hear those as well. The very first thing is to spend small amounts of time in that setting before it starts. So if the classroom was kind of getting you nervous before that first hour, get to school maybe an hour and a half, almost 2 hours before that first hour, just so you can set that atmosphere right, just so you can relax, relate, release, just so you can go in there and spend as much time as needed to make it feel like home to you. So when the students do come in, you've got that in your back pocket. That's the first thing. So anytime I'm speaking at an engagement, And I know it's going to be a crowd full of people. Even though I'm a people person, I still get those nerves. So I'll try to show up at least an hour and a half earlier, just so I can make sure everything is well prepared. Just so I can kind of look around the room and say, this is going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a little scary, but this is going to be pretty cool. And so that was one of the first things. The second thing, the nerves are going to happen no matter what. I know they are. It's going to happen. So the second thing is I try my best to prepare for it. Prepare for those situations. I've done the research. I prepared for it. I've said the presentation in my head. I've said the lesson in my head. I practiced that out with this group. I practiced that out with my family. I tested every website to ensure that there are no hiccups. I've done everything I could. I prepared. I worked on the jokes. I worked on the laughs. I remembered the meaningful stories. If you are a person who uses flashcards or PowerPoints or however you use it, we prepared. Great. Now don't overthink it. You've done all the work. You've done all the front-loaded stuff. So now just relax, relate, release. Woosah. You've done your preparation, and now it's just time to do it. The next thing is you learn to relax when that moment seems big. So for me, that moment seems big, very similar to you, right before it starts. So right before it starts, right before people come inside the classroom or people come to the workshop, my heart starts beating, the palms get sweaty, all of that stuff. And so one of the things I'll do, I'll start breathing, just the calm of breathing, just in and out. And try my best not to let the moment get too big. In and out. Second thing I do, I'll put on some music. I love music anyway, because music is like my life, but I'll put on some music, to set that atmosphere. There are some times that I just needed to pick me up, so I'll put on some Funk Brothers. I'll put on some Sly and the Family Stones. There have been some times that I just needed a more mellow setting, so I've done like some classical music and some Bach and some Beethoven. There are some times that I kind of knew the audience, and the audience, they were more artsy, so I put on some show tunes just to feel the vibe of that atmosphere. The next thing I would suggest is those affirmations. If you go online and Google daily affirmations, there are so many websites that can affirm to you the person who you are. For me, I affirmed myself. Or I would email my wife or call my wife and say, hey, baby, leave a voice message for me and give me some affirmations. Tell me how great I am. Tell me how great I can be. Can you just love on me a little bit through your words, spoken word? And so just those daily atmosphere, those affirmations set the atmosphere for that session, for those times that, yeah, I'm going to rock this today. Yeah, I prepared for this lesson. My kids and I are going to have fun approaching blah, 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 blah. The fourth thing, muscle relaxation. I was not a fan of yoga. I am slowly starting to become a fan of yoga because as much as it is stretching muscles, it is stretching my mind to just relax and to just be in that moment. And so yoga and stretching, I've actually done some yoga right before a presentation. I think it's called the tree pose, where you put your leg up against the other leg and you stand and I've done that just to relax and not let that moment get too big. And then I've had a few people say, hey, you're doing the tree. Hey, you're a yogi. I'm not a yogi. I'm just someone who just needed that moment because sometimes it may seem like it's getting too big. Some other suggestions, have you some realistic thinking there as well. Learn to identify those little scary thoughts that are triggering inside of your head, and then do what you can to be proactive and not triggering those thoughts. That normally comes from me with planning. Oh, I didn't plan this right. I didn't do that right. And then I'm looking over my plans and I did it. So then that's just affirming that I actually did what I needed to do to get into that training. Ask yourself what will happen if it does not work the way you want it to work. What's the worst that could happen in that? Will you really pass out? Probably not. Will it go on forever and they will look at you mean and scary and they'll want to beat you up? Probably not. Will you embarrass yourself and everyone laugh at you? Probably not. Will you have physical, issues? You'll break your leg or you'll die? Probably not. Have some realistic thinking in that. You know what? My lesson may not be the best lesson. So what can I do to make it better next time? Or this presentation wasn't what I thought. How can I critique myself and revise it to be a little better the next time around? Prepare as best as possible so it doesn't happen. So those are the two main things that really, really help for me. Here's a few quotes. Before anything else, preparation is the key to success. So before those, that anxiety comes on and those nerves really hit you hard, just know that you've prepared as best as possible for that. And by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Ben Franklin. So just know that you've prepared, and then just know that you can relax, release, and then go from there. So let's wrap this thing up. The very first thing, just know that it's normal. Everyone has those nerves. I'm sure if you were to ask Beyonce, was she a little nervous before she gets on stage? I'm sure she'll tell you the same thing. I'm sure if you ask President Obama, was he nervous before his 2008 Yes We Can speech? I'm pretty sure he said the same thing. I'm pretty sure if you were to ask Steve Jobs and read any of his biographies when he's launching the new product of any of the iPhones or iPads or any of that, I'm sure that he had a little bit of nerves as well. Just know that it is absolutely normal. The second thing, learn to relax. When that moment gets a little big, start breathing, start some music, do some muscle relaxation, do some type of affirmations to relax in that atmosphere. And then the third thing, have some realistic thinking. By failing to prepare, you're planning to fail. Chances are you probably won't break your leg because you did it bad or because you didn't do the lesson the way that you wanted to. What can you do to make it better? Reflect upon it. Critique yourself. Revise that lesson. Make it better the next time. So thank you for asking that question. Truly, truly appreciate you for that. Let's wrap this thing up. Let's keep this conversation going. If you got any comments, suggestions and strategies you'd like to add, post them in the comment section below. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Tune in to next week's Q&A. Thank you for watching. For those who are going to comment and suggest and share out with other educators, I truly, truly appreciate you helping me out with that. Thanks for participating. As always, it still takes a village. Be that village this week. Have a good week.